All right. Good morning, early risers. Toastmasters meeting for August the 19th is now in session. I have a special guest sitting here on my lap. His name is Isaac Fisher. He's ready to join our Early Risers Toastmasters Club just for this morning. We cannot consider him a member just yet. We'd love to start the day with a fresh, new thought of the day that's going to be given by our DTM, Clint Copeland. Clint, welcome to the virtual podium.
Thank you, fellow Toastmaster Reggie Fisher, soon to be DTM. I'm working on it, but it's glad to see you all this morning. Any our special guests, if we have any on the call, and I will start out with doing our invocation. I have a thought for today related to music. Since I have some famous music quotes that I want to be sharing. One famous music quote. Joseph Haydn said, "There was no one there to confuse me, so I was forced to become original." And the famous Beethoven, one more for you. The famous Beethoven said, "Don't only practice your art, but force your way into its secrets." In other words, make your work original. And for those who love to play the piano like I do, like to play the piano, try to force yourself, try to make yourself play a piece you haven't played before. That is my thought for today. On with our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Distinguished Toastmaster Reggie Fisher.
I love how everyone in the club likes to ascribe members' statuses to me that are higher than I am. Thanks for pushing me forward, everyone. One day I'll become an engineer, and one day I'll become a DTM. We'll see what comes first. Next, we have the word of the day given to us by DTM Dave Rutney. Dave?
All right. How often have you heard the word conundrum? Spelled CONUNDRUM. It is a noun that means a confusing and difficult problem or question. Let's try to use it in a sentence. Let's think. One of the most difficult conundrums in life is determining if we will allow distinguished Toastmaster Craig Gerard for one of his contests to borrow the extension cord. Conundrum is the word of the day. Use it early and use it often. Mr. Toastmaster, presiding officer.
Awesome. Conundrum. Thank you, Dave. It is my distinct pleasure to welcome our Toastmaster of the day, since we have no guests joining us at this meeting at this moment. Toastmaster of the day is very close to me, literally and figuratively, and she is a pediatrician hospitalist at Arkansas Children's Hospital, also known as Arkansas Kids, as her mom, his mom likes to, as Isaac likes to say, excuse me, I'm destroying the introduction. Isaac loves to call Arkansas Children's Hospital Arkansas Kids, where his mom works. Please help me welcome up Dr. Chara Fisher as our Toastmaster of today.
Good morning, and thank you for that introduction. This morning, thank you all for being ready to go with Toastmasters. We always are flexible and early and deal with any conundrums we have as meeting agendas morph and evolve. As we get started this morning, I would like to give a brief introduction for the new moments of truth. I am actually in the process of learning more details about moments of truth, but broadly speaking, the objective is to talk about elements that make a club excellent. And excellence is something that we not only strive for the purpose of having a club that flows beautifully, but when we are doing things in an excellent way, creating an environment that club members are excited to attend and have all the elements that over the many decades of Toastmasters life have been shown to create clubs that are excellent and growing. If our club is evaluated to be one that is doing these things, then we're more likely to grow and in number and in quality and utility for all of our members. I have had a passion for understanding why each person has joined Toastmasters and why each person stays in Toastmasters. And the purpose of our moments of truth is to take that curiosity of why we grow and stay and how we can help others create that passion for being committed to their personal growth, leadership development, and public speaking comfort, and see how we can find areas that we are not quite there and improve. So over the next estimating about 4 minutes, I would like to have each person pay attention and grab a piece of paper and a pen, or potentially the notes app in your phone, and begin to think about some of these elements that make a club excellent, and I will show them on this next screen. This is a document that will actually be utilized next week as a way to share what we have. Pause for the technical difficulties as I maximize the screen. As a way to show that we have thought through these questions, I'm showing them today so that you can have some time to think about truthful answers or meaningful answers. So this is the survey essentially of our club. The first impression that we make, the membership orientation, and it moves through several elements of an excellent club. So as you begin to think about this, I will email this out so each person can fill out their actual answers, and please email them back to me. I'll do this immediately after our club meeting today. But begin to think about, we never meet the standard as 1, rarely meet the standard as 2. We sometimes meet the standard as 3. We usually meet the standard as 4, and we always meet the standard as 5. Any elements that are less than 3 in the Moments of Truth presentation next week, we'll share those and focus on those and try to come up, we will come up with ways where we can meet that standard so our club will grow in numbers and in quality and utility for each member. So our first impression, not only when you join the club, if you've been a member for years, but in the subsequent months and years, do you feel like our guests are greeted warmly, introduced to the officers and members, and each of the elements you see here? Because we are meeting virtually, the guest book would be more of someone ask them immediately for their contact information, help them become welcomed within the club. Some of these elements are more structured for an in-person club, as you can see. Guests being invited to join is an area that we are working on, remembering that scale. Members orientation. When you joined and when other members have joined, did they receive formal introductions? Was a mentor assigned? Were the education programs and recognition systems discussed? Were the learner's needs assessed? As you can see, those are elements of member orientation in the second column as well. I'm giving some time just so that you can have the beginning thoughts, but I will not read each and every element. As I said, this will be emailed to you at about 8:05. Fellowship, variety, and communication. Not only greeting guests, but going all the way to creating inter-club event encounters, club website, newsletter. For those of you who are newer to the club or would love a reminder, Early Riser 4496 Toastmaster Club has a Facebook page. And Dr. Sunny and I are going to make this page even more dynamic, and there's likely a coming YouTube page for our club meetings. Moving on to the scale is there at the top. Moving on to our program planning and meeting organization. Are our programs and agendas publicized in advance? They are on GroupMe and email. Is that effective? I'd love to hear your thoughts next week as far as elements that we can publicize in a better way. Ways that if you find that we are not meeting a standard, when you do this personal review, if you have creative ideas, please bring those and add at the end of the presentation next week. Moving right along, our member strength. Moving to our achievement. Are we receiving awards and focusing on growth in club recognition distinctions in our club? We will move on in the next section. I apologize for this being turned sideways, to talk about ways to improve. Are there any, if there are any immediate questions or concerns, please message me. This is my first time presenting a Moments of Truth, but the concept is clear, and I would love for each person to engage in this so that our club can not only be larger in number, but more impactful, because we have a lot of people who are motivated and excited about Toastmasters. And I would love for our club to continue to grow in that element. And even if our numbers do not become massive, if we, I see the time is up. Even if our numbers do not become massive, for our club to be more valuable and useful to the members involved. Thank you so much. Our next section of the meeting would typically be speaker 2, but is our table topics master willing to step up to the podium so that our evaluator is here for speaker 2?
Yes, Madam Toastmaster of the Day, I can do that. Welcome, Toastmasters and guests if you're watching on the replay. I'm happy to be the table topics master. This is an opportunity for us to think on our feet with little or no preparation. Remember, if you don't like the question, you can always pivot. So let's get started. Toastmaster Harley Watson, who are your role models? Who are your role models, Toastmaster Harley Watson?
Good morning to everyone. Topic Master Dr. Fridge, thank you for that question. My role models growing up were my great-grandparents. They played a pivotal role in my life. They taught me the value of work, the value of family, and also how to be entrepreneurial. Excuse me. Later in my life, I had a role model who was one of my high school instructors. He encouraged me to do things that I did not think I could do. In doing so, I was able to participate in some programs that I would have otherwise not, because I didn't have a role model. With his help, he guided me to the college that I attended, and he also played a pivotal role in my life, as well as helping me become the person that I am today. Without his help and assistance, it would have been, I would probably would have went a different direction in life. But because of those experiences from my role models, I greatly appreciate them, and I strive to be that same role model to others.
Thank you for sharing your role models, Toastmaster Watson. Toastmaster Craig Gerard. There are so many problems in the world. Sometimes we feel like we're in a conundrum. However, what is one problem or right you could see yourself fighting for? What is one problem or right you could see yourself fighting for?
Madam Table Topics Master, fellow Toastmasters, one problem or right I can see myself fighting for is the right to vote. There have been issues and accusations around the country of vote fraud. I've worked as a poll worker for the Pulaski County Election Commission for 30 years. I've been chief judge since 2006. I try to run a clean, fair, safe election. We've had very few problems at my precinct over the year. I guarantee there is no vote fraud going on at our precinct. There have been challenges over the years when our former county clerk, who got forced to leave office, had the voter registration rolls so mixed up, married couples who lived in the same house were voting in different precincts. And that was a real nightmare for the chief judge to deal with and the poll workers. One time, husband of a co-worker of mine at the library came in to vote, and we had trouble getting his registration in, but I assured them that I knew him. He was who he said he was and lived where he said he did, and he got to vote. There have been changes to the way we vote in Arkansas over the years. When we first started out, first election in 92, we had lever machines. Then by 94, we got the machines that read the paper ballots electronically, and then we got the several electronic machines. So I want to make sure we have a fair and safe election. Everyone who's entitled to vote. When a voter is in the wrong precinct, I don't do like other chief judges and just send them, well, maybe you vote here, maybe you vote there. I call the county clerk's office and find out where they should vote. And then last August 9th, when we had a special election, we had a voter that was lived in Sherwood and couldn't vote, but then she turns out she had moved to North Little Rock, and she voted in our precinct and could vote because I called the county clerk's office. So I feel I'm doing my part to help keep voting rolls open and safe. Madam Table Topics Master.
Thank you so much, DTM Gerard. Voting is such an important right. Thank you for sharing. If you could spend a day with your favorite sports hero, who would it be and what would you do? Toastmaster Grammarian Dave, if you could spend a day with your favorite sports hero, who would it be and what would you do?
Thank you so much, Madam Topic Master, for that amazing question. So many athletes that I like. It's a conundrum to figure out how to answer that. I did meet one of my heroes probably 5 years ago in Little Rock at the Travelers game. I'm a huge Steelers fan, and I met Franco Harris, who caught the Immaculate Reception, 1972, incredible, unbelievable game. And actually, I got photos with him. I stood in line for probably 2 hours to have my cousin wanted me to have Franco sign this magazine for him. And I waited like 2 hours. And so I didn't actually get Franco to sign something for me, but I got a photo with him, which is so cool. And actually my uncle was at that game, the 1972. And I told Franco a story he didn't even know. And so you see these photos, someone in back of me took photos of me talking to Franco Harris, who was pretty cool. And Franco was really interested, was smiling, couldn't believe it, because my uncle was pushed down a few rows because this Raiders fan got real angry when the Steelers won the game. And Franco never heard that story. He was really riveted.
Wow.
But what I would like to do with Franco is just to talk to him and learn more about that game. It was so amazing when he caught that ball at ricocheted. He caught this there was like a few seconds left in the game, in this playoff game, and a miracle catch. Franco won the game. So I just would love to talk to him and learn more from him, his feelings, what happened after the game. So that's how I would spend my time with Franco Harris, Madam Topic Master.
All right, that's a great memory. The Immaculate Conception. Always remembered that phrase through my years growing up watching my dad as he watched football. We'd watch with him, and I learned a little bit when I was a kid, and that is one of the best phrases I've heard. Thank you for that answer. My final question, keeping in line with favorite, I would like to ask Toastmaster Adrian Duncan, who is one of your heroes and why do they inspire you? I forgot not to ask the person first. Who is one of your heroes and why do they inspire you? Adrian Duncan.
Well, thank you, Madam Table Topic Master. The only one I have in my lifetime is somebody named David Andrew Redney, because he has kept us on the top number 10 years in a row as Distinguished Toastmaster of the Arkansas Health Department. Those of you that don't know anything about the health department, you're not very healthy. You need to be up on top of the PR person with David Redney. I'm serious. The individuals that has been most powerful in AR Health Masters was someone named Xavier Hurd, Nathaniel Noble, some of the other young people that are still around after 10 or 12 years. Those of you that don't know, you need to learn how to be a PR person, public relations, because public relations will help you gain 5 new members. I just got an email this morning that said I have helped 5 new members become Toastmasters that are leaders in our district. I think that's a pretty good deal. Maybe you need to look to see if you've got a PR person that will help you become a hero in our Early Riser Toastmasters and acquire 5 new members. We're asking each one of you to acquire 5 new members with your PR person. It may be your husband, your wife, it may be your children, grandchildren, it might be your grandparents, great-grandparents. Consider those 5 new Toastmasters for Early Risers. You may be surprised, and not a conundrum. Remember, conundrums can be only when you're confused and not asking people. What is the answer? If you do not ask, the answer is automatically no. Therefore, you have another conundrum. Anyway, look and see what you can do to help those individuals in your group to become Toastmasters and leaders in our Early Riser Toastmasters. Madam Toastmaster Topic Master.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Duncan. There is no conundrum going on when it comes to the word of the day. You'd be my hero if there was such a thing, because you always seem to use it more than once. That is my table topic section. I thank Toastmaster Harley, who talked about role models, Toastmaster Gerard, who talked about a right he would fight for in voting, Toastmaster Adrian Duncan, Dave Rudney. Thank you so much for speaking on heroes, sports, and otherwise. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you so much. We will now go to our planned speaker for the day. I have an assistant to Toastmasters here, so I apologize for any unusual events. Our speaker today is none other than Distinguished Toastmaster Dewey Magar. He is also Early Riser Club coach and has had many roles in leadership within our district. I cannot name all of them. We are so grateful that he is a part of our club and a mentor, a coach, and our newly elected Early Riser Club secretary. Welcome, Toastmaster Dewey Magar, who will be speaking from Pathways Presentation Mastery, Evaluation and Feedback Speech for 5 to 7 minutes. His speech is titled Addiction. Toastmaster Magar.
Thank you, Chara. By a show of hands, how many of you know someone who has struggled with an addiction? Anyone? Almost everyone. Everyone has known someone who struggled with addiction. In the next 5 to 7 minutes, I will share with you an addiction I have struggled with for 8 years. I will try not to create a conundrum for anyone with my speech. Addictions come in all forms. The most commons: drugs, alcohol, food, shopping, etc. The anonymous groups have various apropos phrases. One is too many, 1,000 is never enough. Holidays are a vulnerable time. Get help if you're hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. Those who've known me for a while already know about my addiction. My addiction is Toastmasters. I can't get enough of it. Holidays are a vulnerable time for me. Christmas, New Year's holiday is a real challenge. 2 weeks with no meetings, it's unbearable. I find creative ways to get others to help me get my fix. I call a friend to ask them to ask me a table topics question so I can get my fix. I challenge you to acquire this addiction. It will give you a paradigm shift on your outlook on life. There are no side effects. There are no prescription drugs you have to get rid of it. Who would want to get rid of it? Toastmasters is a contagious addiction. You can easily infect others. Just to let you know, it is an airborne addiction. Yes, it's airborne. It's passed on to others when you open your mouth and tell them about it. Toastmasters is a contagious addiction. Let's start an epidemic. Can you imagine what would happen if we had an epidemic of Toastmasters addictions in early risers? We'd have to build extra breakout rooms onto our meeting in order to have room to hold all the people. Wouldn't it be wonderful to have 20 people again in our club to be charter strength? Let's start an addiction. Let's start an epidemic. All the people that you know out there that don't know about this great kept secret. What can we do to change that? Open our mouth and tell them about it. Infect them with it. Then they'll tell their friends and they'll be infected. The next thing you know, the whole city will be infected with Toastmasters. Fellow Toastmasters, I challenge you, spread the word about early risers Toastmasters. Spread the word about Toastmasters in general. If they don't want to get up at 7 o'clock in the morning, tell them to come out to Health Masters at noon on Monday. Well, if they work on Mondays, tell them to come to Capital Toastmasters at noon on Fridays. If they're working all day, tell them to come to Northside at 5:30 on Monday. There's always a time that somebody can meet for Toastmasters. We've always got an option for them. We can help them find a way to feed their addiction. We just got to get them infected first. For you see, with Toastmasters, you don't have to worry about ill side effects. You can't go to jail for it. What would it be like to have 30 members in Early Riser Toastmasters? People would be knocking down the door to try to get in to give that next speech. We wouldn't have to worry about skipping a speech because there'd be 3 people in line waiting to fill in. How many of you know someone who has struggled with an addiction? Infect them with Toastmasters. We would never have a problem recruiting new members for our club. Fellow Toastmasters, are you up to the challenge? Do you want to be addicted? Do you want to pass that addiction on to others? Make early risers the pandemic that it needs to be. Toastmaster.
Thank you so much. Yes, we need this kind of pandemic. Thank you so much. Next portion of our meeting is one of jokes and humor. Our joke master is not able to attend. Quickly, do we have another volunteer? If not, oh, thank you so much, DTM Craig Gerard. Yes, we'd love to hear your joke.
Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters. Once again, I'm quoting from one of the 3 cat and dog joke books I specially ordered off Amazon. For our first joke, what happened to the man who crossed a cat with the New York Times? He got a newspaper. Second, how do you know your dog's been chasing ducks? He's down in the mouth. And finally, how do you catch stray dogs? Lie down and pretend you are a bone. Madam Toastmaster.
Oh, thank you so much for those jokes and humor. Our next section of the meeting transitions to our feedback time, our evaluation time, where we learn, how did we do? Our general evaluator today is our newest member, and he was on screen. Harley, are you still present? Our general evaluator has momentarily disconnected, but we will move on to our evaluation of Dewey Magar's speech. Our evaluator for the speech will be DTM Craig Gerard. The podium is back to you, Craig.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters. Dewey, a very interesting speech. When you gave the title of your speech and asked about addictions, it was indeed a conundrum that you presented, because I thought you were going to talk about addictions to alcohol or drugs, maybe a relative or friend of yours had. But then no, you turned it into a good thing, which was addiction to Toastmasters. Your face was very much on the screen. You had good eye contact, good vocal variety, which is always important in a Toastmaster speech. You set out the call to arms to get more members for early risers and spread your addiction, even though we're in the middle of a pandemic, which I think was another conundrum as well. I think, although you had a few gestures and realized that when you're online on Zoom, there are limitations for your gestures, you could have had a few more gestures, especially when you were speaking so passionately about your addiction and love for Toastmasters. So I think that's one way you could have improved your speech. I think you could have talked perhaps a little more about all the things, all the awards you've gotten and what Toastmasters has done for you personally and might do for other newer members. But other than that, it was a very good presentation. I think that the speech would go good at any Toastmasters club to help inspire them to get more members into their club. Madam General Evaluator.
I agree. It was a passionate speech, and one that was a model that we can use in other styles where we have a topic that makes you go one direction in the mind and then turn another direction. Thank you so much, Craig. Our next section of the meeting is where we evaluate our use of language, words, in the excellent and the verbal pause variety. Our awe counter is Distinguished Toastmaster Adrian Duncan. Grammarian is ready. I love it. Adrian, would you give the awe counters report? We can move forward to the grammarian report and come back to that if Adrian has stepped away. Our grammarian is Distinguished Toastmaster Dave Rudney, and he is ready and willing to jump in. Please welcome to the virtual podium, Dave.
All right, well, just in case you thought that maybe I was joking about Franco Harris, and there he is, 1972, the Immaculate Reception. There is Franco and me a few years ago. And actually, there's Franco smiling, looking at me when I was telling him that story. So I have the receipts. Now, let's move ahead. How did we do with use of the word conundrum? The data shows Dr. Fisher once, Dr. Fridge used it twice. Adrian and Dewey each used the word one time. And also Craig and yours truly also each used the word conundrum one time. Excellent work. Also, I want to commend a few folks for particularly effective phrases, particularly effectively used words during the meeting. I heard the word strive from Chara. Also, I like the setup phrases that are used to sort of set up the roadmap for where a speech is going. Both Chara and Dewey use those phrases over the next 4 minutes and over the next 5 to 7 minutes. Excellent work. Dewey used the word apropos, which I thought was very appropriate. And Dewey had a particularly powerful set of phrases such as Toastmasters is a contagious addiction. Let's start an epidemic. Amazing metaphors, incredible. And as Craig Valentine says, a picture is worth 1,000 words, but a metaphor is worth 1,000 pictures. And I have to commend someone, I forget who this was, who used the phrase immaculate reception. What an amazing phrase. That is our report. We'll return control to our general evaluator substitute, Chara Fisher.
Thank you. Thank you. Our next section is where we learn about our and so, and all the other filler words that are so easy to slip into our language. Adrian Duncan, our distinguished Toastmaster, multiple DTM, is the counter for today. Adrian?
Oh, thank you. The conundrum this morning. Can you hear me? The conundrum. See if I'm unmuted. See if I'm muted. Maybe muted.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Well, so is the word of the day. Conundrum. The other thing is tell them. Tell them what? If we would tell them, I don't know who is. Tell them who is. I think if we would tell them, I believe if we would tell them, and now is a good word today. So I, so them, so those. When we use so I, so anyway, the conundrum word of the day is, and tell them is the other word. We did not use, I like that word. They did not use the filler word. We did not use the word and did not use the word also, but one time. I think we did 100% better today with our outstanding program for the day. And the conundrum today was one of the best programs we've had at Early Risers at 7 o'clock in the morning. Back to General Evaluator and Toastmaster of the Day, Dr. Chara. Thank you. Great, wonderful day.
Thank you so much.
Excellent.
Our next section of the meeting is our timers report. Welcome back, Toastmaster Reggie Fisher with our timer report.
Good morning, fellow Toastmasters. I have but a few times for you today, the most important times. We had some shakeup with our meeting, so I'll just go in somewhat order that we had today. Speaker 2 was considered Chara with no evaluator. During her movie trailer Moments of Truth preview, she spoke for around 7 minutes. Topic 1 was Harley talked about his role model of his grandparents for 1 minute and 22 seconds. Topic number 2 was Craig Gerard. He spoke on everyone needing a voting sticker for 2 minutes and 20 seconds. Topic number 3, Dave talked about his favorite sports icon, Franco, for 1 minute and 40 seconds. Topic number 4 by Adrian, where he spoke about previous topic master, Dave, as his hero of Health Masters for 1 minute and 35 seconds. Evaluation for Dewey's speech was done by Craig Gerard, and that was right at 2 minutes. And that is all the times that I have for you today. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you. We have a lot of exciting elements of our meeting. The most interesting thing has been how we've pivoted today and changed hats. I thank each of you for your flexibility and excitement. Our next section of the meeting will be led by presiding officer, DTM Craig Gerard.
Thank you, Dr. Fisher. Fellow Toastmasters, are there any guests on the meeting today? I don't think so. Okay, some announcements. Next week, we're going to have the Moments of Truth presentation by our own Dr. Chara Fisher, who will give us the Moments of Truth module from the Successful Club series. And we're looking forward to that. We get extra credit with TI and the district for doing it before August 31st. So everyone be sure to come to next week's meeting for the Moments of Truth. For those of you who haven't been to club officer training, or you hold multiple offices in different clubs, and only went to one of the officer trainings for the one particular office, there's a final club officer training for District 43, Thursday, August 25th, from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. online on Zoom. If you can't make that, I'd check with some of the district leadership and see if they know of Toastmasters Club Officer training in another state around the country that's on Saturday or Sunday, if that works better with your schedule. We just elected Dewey Magar, our new club secretary. Congratulations, Dewey. Does Dewey, as our division director, any district business he wants to discuss with us?
I want to remind everyone that dues are due on September 1st. They will be delinquent on September 30th. Please get your dues to the club treasurer as soon as possible to make sure that our club remains in good standing. Also, the Members Matter Social Mingle has been extended through this year. It'll be at 7:30 on the last Tuesday of each month.
Thank you, Dewey. Does anyone else have any other business to bring before our club? Hearing none, we now stand adjourned. We'll reconvene.
We have one.
One, yes.
Next week, of course, we have just Chara will be doing the Moments of Truth, so no speaker announcements. Do we also want to have a Toastmaster for next week as well?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Next week's Toastmaster is me.
Okay, very good.
Agenda, I believe, is already updated. So if you want to know what all is going on with the other roles, you can scroll right to the next agenda. It's already been loaded. I will also send it out on Sunday via email and also group me. Thank you all.
Thank you, Reggie. Okay, we now stand adjourned.